Peace. Good morning, family. How you doing? It's Mr. R2 here at Consistency is Currency, your morning podcast of choice. It is October the 12th. It is a Wednesday. Is it Wednesday? Dang, it's Wednesday already. It is Wednesday. Some call it hump day. I just call it Wednesday. Whatever it is and however you describe it to you, it is what it is to you all the way. So, like always, we start in the spirit of gratitude and appreciation. So, good morning to you. We're all those who have the ability to hear me and see me, just like I have the ability to hear and see you for those who are interested. But definitely always start in gratitude. So thank you, and I appreciate you 1000%. See, we got people listening from LinkedIn, we got people listening from Facebook. So those who are watching from YouTube and the YouTube land, Facebook land, LinkedIn land, wherever you so choose to get your dose of consistency is currency, your C2 dose. You're going to get it right here. For those that's listening to in the podcast space, again, like always, peace. Good morning, Miss Anderson. I don't know who the LinkedIn user is. It just says LinkedIn user. Peace. Good morning, Miss Myrick. My sister, she's now a Myrick now. So good morning to you. So I definitely can't be on long, but I do want to uh, put out this powerful information today because I got something to do in Austin. So I got like an hour drive after this. So make sure you stay tuned. All right. So we're going to be talking about I refuse. And what I want you to put right now in the chat, because we're going to build this conversation. It can only be built by those who understand what refuse is. So what I want you to put right now in the chat is to put I refuse. Real simple. I refuse. It's too easy for us to make choices based off of feelings. It's too easy for us to make choices based off of how we feel. It's too easy for us to make choices based off of situations and circumstances. But you too can make a choice based off of how you don't want to feel. You can refuse based off how you don't want to feel. I don't want to feel this way anymore. I don't want to keep falling like this anymore. So I refuse. All right, let's go ahead and make that jump. All right. Again, go ahead and put I refuse in the chat. IREFUSE in the chat. All right, here we go. All right, so the definition of refuse, it says indicate or show that one is not willing to do something. Indicate or show that one is not willing to do something. And the inversion on this, for those who may be new, the inversion is either white over red or red over white. If I say white over red, that means pay attention to the words that are in white. If I say red over white, that means pay attention to the words that are in red. So in this definition, indicate or show that one is not willing to do something. The inversion that I want you to pay attention to is red over white, which is not willing to do. It is a choice. I choose, so therefore I am not willing to do. But now I'm going to put a little bit of twist on it. Not willing to do. So what does your will say? What is your will saying to you about what dreams, what goals, what passion, what drives you? What does your will say? It's easy for us to hear the things that we don't want, but are you willing to do the things that you need to do? Not willing to do. So going into the etymology of refuse, it is Latin for refundere. Again, I'm not Latin. I don't speak Spanish. I got a D in Spanish. Not saying that I'm proud of it. I'm just saying I know where my gifts are, and it's not in Spanish. So the definition the etymology, it says refuse is give back, restore, return. Literally pour back or flow back. So in refuse, it says give back, restore, return, pour back, or flow back. So now In our process of refusing, that means that we are denying ourselves to feel a certain way, or we are denying ourselves to act a certain way. Like, I refuse. Like, I remember my mom, she would always say, I refuse to listen to the devil. Like, that's an emotion that carries you from one point to the next, because you have got so fed up with your situation, or you gotten so to the point to where I refuse to not figure this out. I refuse to not be successful. I refuse to not want what's best for me, or I refuse to not want to make this work, or I refuse to not want to make this happen. So therefore, again, I want you to say it with me. I refuse. That look like a shirt. I refuse. So let's take this. So in doing my research, there's an American author. His name is Wayne Dyer. And what Mr. Dyer said, he says, change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change. So how often are you going to continue to bump your head to try to avoid those lessons that you need to learn? Right? And something else Mr. Dyer said, which uh when I heard it, I was like, man, that's powerful. This man say, and I want you to pay attention to this. He said, be miserable or motivate yourself. And when I heard it, I was like, man, that's deep. Be miserable or motivate yourself. So what do you think that means? What does that mean to you when you hear that? Be miserable or motivate yourself. Keep crying about what you don't have, or do something about it. Be miserable or motivate yourself. That line alone can put you in a different space. That line alone can put you in a different reality. Be miserable or motivate yourself. Because it's like you either want it or you don't. Keep crying about the obstacles, or transition those obstacles into opportunity. Because again, he says, change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change. Be miserable or motivate yourself. Because refusal is it's almost like a spiritual surrender or an emotional surrender. It's like, I surrender to the process, and I refuse to not learn these life lessons. There's so many lessons in what we've already done. There's so many lessons when the walls that we hit. There's so many lessons when the things that we were striving for just fell by the wayside. So now when you get into the nature of refusal, it's like a spiritual surrender. It's like there's a different type of commitment, because you're like, I refuse to not figure this out. It's just like you holding on to your gifts, or you holding on to your blessings, and say, I refuse to let you go until you bless me. I refuse to quit, because I refuse. It's like looking at the highest good in your decision. And when you're looking at the highest good in your decision, you begin to then decide to do something different in order for you to have a different outcome. It's a choice. I refuse is a choice. It's like, keep crying about it or do something. Be miserable or make a choice today. Like, I don't know who this was for. Um, But if it's for you, take it, put your shoes on, tie it up, make sure the shoe fit, and then walk in it. Because I think sometimes we just have to put ourselves in that space of I refuse, because that may just empower you and push you through that decision that you have to make, or push you through that moment that you hit that wall. Say, I refuse to stay on this side of the wall because I know my blessings is on the other side of the wall. So I got to break through this thing that I'm in order for me to get to the other side to see what it is. I refuse not to be successful. I refuse not to learn. I refuse to stay stagnant. I refuse to fail. I refuse to continue to fall. That is a state of mind that you have to take yourself. Because if refusal is to not be willing, then again, what are you willing to do? What does your will say? Like, what does it really say to you? What does it say about you? How do you feel when you refuse, and how do you feel when these things happen? You should be inspired to be great. You should be inspired to succeed, because it is based on the grounds of your beliefs, like your belief system. Like, I believe that I'm good, so the things that I do are going to be good, because it is something that is deep and buried deep inside of me to make it happen, to make it come to pass, to manifest that thing. Like we spoke about yesterday about our gifts, and it really just put ourselves in a different space, because we were talking about exercising your gift, because a lot of times you won't be able, or you will not begin the process of exercising your gift until you refuse not to use it. I'm going to say that again. Sometimes before you begin to exercise your gift, you may have to put yourself in a place to you refuse not to use your gift. Because when you begin to use your gifts, then a lot of these things that you want to do, or a lot of these places that you want to go, the doors will begin to open for you, because you refuse to stand in front of a closed door. You refuse to stand behind the door, because once the door is open, the opportunities are yours to receive. But you have to put yourself in a position to refuse not to turn the knob, refuse not to take on the opportunity, refuse not to make a decision, refuse not to decide that the choice is yours. And again, it is only yours when you assume the responsibility that what you want is yours to have. Because the easy choice for us sometimes is to quit, but the hard choice is to refuse to quit, refuse to give up, refuse to listen to the outside noise, refuse to be denied, and refuse to listen to you. So now what I want you to say and acknowledge as well is, like, I refuse to be denied. I refuse to not be successful. I refuse to not make it happen. And because I refuse those things, that means that I want something more for myself. I want something more out of the outcome. I want something more out of my output, out of the outcome of what I'm doing. So therefore, I have to pour more into what I'm doing in order for me to have an outcome that's going to be different. So I refuse. I mean, that's like, sometimes that's the space that I'm in. Like, you just don't know how many times to where in the morning when it comes, I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to say, what I'm going to do, whatever it is. But then there's something that's in me like, man, I refuse to not figure it out. And I have to put myself in a different headspace. Like, have you ever been in that moment? Have you ever been in that space to where you know that the decisions that you make has to be made, and then everything else is up to you? Choose to make the decision that is of the highest good of the choices that you make, and then figure it out. All right. Man, just be blessed. Just pay attention to your opportunities. And sometimes you're going to have to refuse to quit. All right, man, y'all be blessed. And remember, right here at Consistency is Currency, your morning podcast of choice. I'm your host, Mr. R2. Y'all be blessed. Peace.